Big Frank, can you hear me? There you are. What's up, dude?
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
All right.
Yeah, the big Kiss fan himself. All right. Nice backdrop you got there.
Yeah, that's actually it's there's a sliding glass door behind this. So this room doubles as my man cave. You'll see the three TVs in here, and also the Kiss and all the Kiss stuff in here.
Dude, look at all this stuff. That's
Yeah.
where you watch your Lakers games and your Gators games and all that.
Well, I used to watch Lakers in here. I once LeBron joined, I kind of jumped ship. So I always hated that guy. So and then also I can't stand Westbrook either. So
Okay.
yeah, they were kind of the straws that broke the camel's back for me. But you have to remember, I grew up in the '70s. You know what I mean? So I was watching Worthy and Magic and Kareem when I was growing up. So I don't know. It's just it's not even so much LeBron. It's just the games changed so much. When you watch the old games, man, the big man just doesn't matter anymore. But remember when they used to dump the ball down into the big man, and you'd have these 2 7-footers battling it out and dunking on each other. You know what I mean? The days of David Robinson and Olajuwon going at it, and now it's just shooting 3-pointers all day.
Yeah, it has changed. Thanks in big part to Steph Curry. And I like it when Barkley and the guys, and these old timers get talking about how it's gone soft. But
Well, and that's just how the game is now. And I also think even though they lost last night, it was a great game, Memphis and the Warriors. But I think with Clay coming back, I think the league's in trouble. Even Phoenix, I think that it seems like Phoenix and Golden State were neck and neck. But now that Clay's back after 2 years, and because what's his head wasn't playing last night either. Who's the troublemaker on Golden State?
Draymond Green.
Yeah, so I feel like once he's back and they're firing out cylinders, I would be hard pressed to pick another team to win than them.
Well, yeah, the storylines and the big threes all around the league. I'm really attracted to that too. Didn't get too much of that back in the day, but really fast and that's great, dude. Well, we have Frank No-ven-eck. Is it No-ven-eck?
No, No-ven-eck.
No-ven-eck, Florida Frank.
Or you could Florida Frank. I mean, that's pretty much what I go by these days. So
you're in Florida right now. We're in Florida.
I live on the Space Coast, where you see that shuttle being launched from all the time near Cape Canaveral, Cocoa Beach area on the east coast of Florida. Just ended up here because my wife had a house here, and I really am more of a fan of the other coast of Florida, to be honest with you. They have better beaches and they have the sunsets and the 80 and 90-year-old people that it's pretty much how I act when I get home from tour. So but hey, I mean, when I talk about the West Coast and East Coast of Florida, it's like we're trading the Bentley for a Rolls Royce. These are first world problems. So I love it down here, and this is my second time living down here. I've been down here about 12 years this time. I love it. I think it's great, and I always tell people I can't afford to live in Hawaii, so I live in Florida. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, not bad, man. Florida's really become popular through social media. It's kind of funny. Florida is my alma mater state. My twin brother and I went to Flagler College. If you ever been to St. Augustine, Florida before?
Yeah, of course. I've been there a gazillion times. I've been all over the state. I mean, I know the state like the back of my hand. And obviously, St. Augustine's an awesome place. For those that don't know, that's the oldest city in America. And it's very historic. And it's got that Savannah, Georgia vibe to it. And there's a lot of cool things going on there.
Yeah. It was a fun 4 years. You definitely make your own fun there. Nation's oldest city. But man, I just want to say cheers. I got some Liquid Death here, future sponsor. This year is 16 years in Hatebreed. That's awesome, man. Cheers.
Has it been that long? Yeah, it seems like yesterday that I would wake up in my apartment in Cleveland, Ohio, where I spent most of my life growing up, and Hatebreed would be sleeping on the floor because they played Cleveland the night before, and this was long before the Grammy nomination and the tour bus and all that. So I've had a history with these guys since they started this band. I've been goes way back to way before I was in it. So it's crazy to think that it's been this long since I've been in the band, because going back, I've had a relationship with these guys long before me joining in '06.
Yeah, yeah, man. And we met real quick. You had your Florida Gators hat on in Echo Park in Los Angeles. And I just remember you stopped to have a chat, and that was really, really cool of you. And it shows a lot of character for you to come on and hang out today, bro. So, um,
Yeah, no problem, man. I remember that show too. It was kind of a weird little venue we played, and it's cool because you can play an hour and a half away in Orange County, and then go play an LA proper show and have two completely different crowds here. I mean, there's not a lot of states where you can get away with doing something like that. So
yeah, very true. And Jasta right up there, he was name dropping Ozzfest, Knotfest. And I was there in 2016 as well in San Bernardino with the dust. That's back when people were wearing masks, for real, because dust was coming at you from left and right. And there's Hatebreed stirring up the pit. That was a really good ass time, man.
yeah, for sure. I see the Chucky doll in the background. Did you watch the miniseries that they just had on?
Dude, I haven't seen an ounce of it. Have you?
Yeah, we watched the whole thing.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Is it worth checking out?
It's great. It's great. I mean, I'm an old school cat, so Chucky is just a ripoff of Talkie Tina from the Twilight Zone. I mean, that's where that comes from. So, but I can appreciate it for sure. And I like horror movies. I might not be like most insane horror movie guru, or like a lot of people in these bands are, but we enjoyed it. I would suggest anybody that's into, and I'm not a TV show guy. I don't get wrapped up in like these Netflix programs and stuff. I watch sports pretty much, and that's it. My wife's more into that stuff. Sometimes I get lured into some things, but I enjoyed it. I think it's worth it for people to check out. I thought it was great.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, it's more comedy to me with Chucky. Child's Play
It
2.
is.
I mean, Child's Play 2, and Brad Dourif, he's back at it as the voice of Chucky, compared to Luke Skywalker. So it's cool to have him back in the fold.
Yeah. You should definitely check it out, and so should anybody listening.
I will definitely. Well, today's fact of the day, we got a birthday today. So Zack de la Rocha, Rage Against the Machine, he's turning 51 today, and they're going to be touring this summer, which is going to be a party. You ever see Rage Against the Machine back in the day there, Big Frank?
No, but I was a huge fan of the first band that he was in called Hard Stance. And
Really?
they were a hardcore band from Southern California, and he was the guitar player. And they put a 7-inch back in the day out called Face Reality that we were up on back in '88 or '89 when it came out. Great band in the hardcore scene there. And then obviously he went on to become the singer for Inside Out. And then, from that, I think he went and did Rage, I think. But that's same age as me pretty much, a little bit younger, but that's cool. Happy birthday to him.
Yeah,
But
man.
for those that don't know, check out Hard Stance. He was the guitar player of the band, actually. They put a 7-inch out, and they might have a couple other releases out.
I'm gonna check that shit out, and I'll post a link below to some of his stuff. Never even knew about that, dude. So,
Mhm.
yeah, you talk about Cleveland. You spend enough time there. I kind of hear your accent too. You got that Cleveland's, I don't know, Buffalo accent a little bit there.
Yeah, it's a definite Rust Belt thing. They call that part of the country. We your Detroits and your Clevelands and your Pittsburghs and your Buffaloes, your blue collar steel worker auto industry, working class towns. That's where I come from. Matter of fact, I'm a son auto industry workers. I have that blue collar working class background, and I worked in the tire business for 12 years before I got to touring full time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, man. I mean, then you spent time enough in Cleveland with hardcore pioneers, Ringworm, Integrity, And in LA, there was a band called Terror, not to be mistaken with punk rock band Tales of Terror. I like that song, Ozzy, by the way. Tales of Terror. You ever hear of Tales of Terror, Frank?
Yeah, that's Tales of Terror is an old skate rock band, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were on like the Thrasher compilation back in the day with the Wild Riders Aboard, I think, the skate rock comp with Boneless Ones and Beyond Possession and Gangrene. They're one of those bands, I think, and the Faction.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I was first introduced to that style of music that you got started on through Tony Hawk Pro Skater. If you ever played those Tony Hawk Pro Skater games, right?
I'm a Nintendo NES guy. I've got almost half the games made.
No shit.
Yeah, and actually, Devin, who plays guitar in the Acacia Strain, has or had a video game store in Columbus, Ohio, where he's from. Time Warp, maybe it's called, or something like that. Anyways, they had these modified Nintendos. I'm looking at the system right now. It's the old one, the actual NES. But I don't know what they do to them. But if you remember the old cartridges, you put the cartridge in and then push it down and hit the power button. They do something to these things where you push the cartridge in and that's it. It's locked in that position. It doesn't go down. They modified them somehow so that they work more than than they're supposed to. Because as anybody knows, it was blowing on the cartridges or rubbing alcohol. I mean, I would put malt liquor back in the day and whatever, put the cartridge in the freezer, whatever the hell we could get to be able to play Tecmo Bowl or Blades of Steel or any of that stuff. So dude, I'm more of that era of video games. Once you started putting 6, 7, 8 buttons on the controller, I was lost. Little kids just whipping my ass at Madden and all that. So
yeah, that's funny, man. Well, the NES, that's how I got started too. Mega Man, do you got any Mega Man there in your room?
Yeah, I got almost all of them. Yeah, Mega Man. I got a lot of crazy games. I mean, when you look at a lot of these games that they made off movies and stuff, like there's a Home Alone game, there's a Little Mermaid game, there's a Jaws game, there's a Friday
Total Recall
game. Yeah, Total Recall. I have that. Yeah.
How is that
Vincent game? Vincent from the Acacia Strain is the master of all these games. So he has pretty much all of them, and he's like finished them all, and he's like knows about every single one of these goddamn games. One thing that's nice though is if anybody remembers, like when we were young, the Nintendo games, they weren't cheap, even though it was the 80s. Some of them were like $40, $50, and then you put this game in and it was so fucking hard to play, and you'd like, this game sucks, and you never played it again. And nowadays you could go on YouTube and there's playthroughs. And my wife loves Gremlins and she loves Jurassic Park and she loves Little Mermaid, so she'll play. And then when she gets stuck on a part, I can just go on the YouTube and go through the playthrough and be like, oh, you got to go up there and get this thing or whatever. So then it just more, yeah, I don't call it cheating or whatever, but like it just makes it so much better than it was back in the day, because some of the games, they just sucked. They were so hard. Like some of those games were impossible to get through. And now literally every single game that was made for NES, you can go on YouTube and get the playthrough, and it helps you get through something you're stuck on. It makes it that much more better.
Yeah, Nintendo Entertainment System, so much fun. It's funny you guys still kick back and play that. Do you ever bring the NES system onto the tour bus with Hatebreed?
I think Chris he's got one of those ones where these newer ones where it's the NES system and it's already has all the games on it. A lot of, not all of them obviously, but like it'll have like 30, 40 games or something on that. I think he's had that in the back lounge or something, and that we were playing that. But a lot of bands do that. A lot of bands game in the back lounge and or, you know, on the road, excuse me, and the dressing room or whatever, eat up time. So we don't get too crazy with that, but it's that there's definitely something back there every tour. Somebody's got some kind of system back there. Yeah, I think that on the last run, I think that was back there, which is cool that they've done that. They've remade it, so it's just, I get real spoiled because I want all my games I love to play on there, and they're not on there. You know what I mean? I have the physical cartridges. It takes up all this damn room in my spare room, one of my spare rooms, and you know, like I think it has regular Tecmo Bowl, and Super Tecmo Bowl was like, that was the one. It had all the teams on it. is where the first one didn't, so stuff like that. But I mean, it's got classic stuff on there. Excite. Like one thing that I noticed that sucks is nowadays with the flat screen TVs, the gun and duck hunt doesn't work on the flat screen TVs.
Oh,
It
does
only
it?
works on the old big. It only works on the old big ass picture tube TVs. So that's kind of a bummer too, because that game was funny.
Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Ding ding. You don't let the ding ding boom boom boom. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just
I've got all the I got the sneakers. I have all the Donkey Kong and
yeah.
all the vans that they made that say "Game Over" on the bottom. Those were sick when they came out. The only thing is, I'm old and wearing Vans all day. It's just brutal, brutal. Like I go to the theme parks and stuff, and if I'm wearing Vans all day, it's like
You're
my
screwed.
feet are destroyed at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, shout out to my twin brother Ryan who bought me a Mortal Kombat system. I mean, I woke up and right out front, you got this newer system that's got these built-in games, but MK1, 2, 3, Paperboy, Rampage, all that kind of stuff. So
Oh, that's
thanks
great.
a lot, Rye. Yeah, man. But today in 1981, in the White House, there were some Kiss records that were brought into the White House, and I'm not sure if they've survived, but Kiss was in the White House in '81. So there you go.
Really,
Yeah,
little
man.
history there. Little history lesson for everybody.
Yep, yep. You've seen Kiss around 50 times. You could find Frank's badass collection of Frank's Kiss collection with a K on Instagram. I'll include a link below to that. I'm a little weird when it comes to Metallica, and it sounds like you got your thing with Kiss.
I mean, that's just it. We're fans at the end of the day. We're fans of music. You know what I mean? That's what gets somebody like me into where I am in my life, playing as the guitar player in a band and touring the world. It's because of our love for music and our love for fans. So, when people come to our shows and our meet and greets and they have our signatures tattooed on them, or they're going to get our signatures tattooed on them, or their lyrics, our lyrics tattooed on them. I get it. I get it. I share that same enthusiasm with other bands. So it totally makes sense to me. And I enjoy that we share that love, you know what I mean? For something you believe in so much and something that's such a part of your life.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I speak for all fans that we love you too. And I wanted to share this T-shirt. I was gonna wear this today, but you're the one with the Lakers tattoo on. I had to rep some Lakers, although it's LeBron. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's Lakers is Lakers.
Yep,
And
yep. But this,
and I can, as much as I go ahead.
oh no, please go ahead, man.
Well, I mean, as much as I'm not a fan of LeBron, he did get us the championship that tied the Celtics for the most championships.
Yep.
Even though it was a COVID championship, and it was weird, but we'll take it. It
Yeah.
counts still.
Yes,
It counts more than it counts more than the Astros World Series should count.
Yeah, man, that Houston fucking Astros. But this is what I got in that LA show at Echo Park, which is pretty
right
cool. We got Hatebreed that's known for their pits, but it's also, as you quoted in an interview years back, you would describe Hatebreed's sound as brutality with positivity. And you were just kind of talking a little bit about that. And in COVID in 2020, Hatebreed released Weight of the False Self, badass record, and you guys were just on the Metal Tour of the Year last year. So how was it to just get back out there and give it to your fans that love you so much?
It was great. I mean, it wasn't as emotional as I thought it would be, because to me, when you've been doing this for so long and this is what you do for a living, it was like we were gone for a day, not for a year and a half. So, and I'm not downplaying it all. The tour was phenomenal, and we don't get to do support tours like that as much as we'd like, especially at that level. When you have a band that's as popular as Hatebreed, for lack of a better term, opening the show as the first of four bands, then it's a monster bill, and there's going to be a lot of people there. If we're going first and there's three bands ahead of us that are, rightfully bigger than we are, it's crazy. So, the beauty of that tour, I think more than anything, was not only was it our first time back after being away from shows for so long, it was the majority of those people coming to those shows first time back after going to shows for so long. So it was their first back and ours first back. And I can't think of a better way for us to return to the stage than on that level. You're talking about amphitheaters and NBA arenas that those shows were at. So that's huge. That's huge. And I know some people have been waiting for us to get back into clubs and do headlining shows. But and I know we announced the Parkway Drive rescheduled dates yesterday. And obviously we're not headlining that tour either. But you know, eventually we will get back to headlining. But the tour, the metal tour of the year, I mean, it was incredible. It was weird. It wasn't a normal tour. It was very strict. It was masks on unless you're in your dressing room or in your bus or on the stage. And when you talk about 90% of those shows being outside, now put that in the equation, masks on. So, but as most of you know, that tour didn't get canceled or postponed. It went the distance. It went all 5-6 weeks or whatever. And it was all attributed to us being careful and doing the things that we needed to do to make it work. Did some people get sick on the tour? Yes. But did people in the bands get sick themselves? No. So we were able to make it happen. And Megadeth and everybody in Lamb of God. And, you know, we know all these people and Trivium for years. And it was great. And it went by so fast. And like I said, we really cherish and appreciate being able to do something like that. Because like I said, we don't get to do those support tours as much as we'd like, and to be able to come out, it was weird. I mean, we were done at 6:40 every night. I'm not even thinking about warming up for our show usually at that point. So, and you know, there's a lot of downtime. You know, what do we do? You know, you don't want to go off to the bars and get COVID. So it was like, so I'm not gonna lie, my old ass was in bed some nights before Megadeth even hit the stage.
Oh, really? Wow.
But you know, there was some other things that we went and did, and you know, went to Vegas, and you know, I flew home a lot because there were so many days off, which we weren't used to. We're not used to days off like that. I could get a flight out the night that we played, and I'm landing in Florida, and Megadeth on stage still, and halfway across the country. You know what I mean? And then it's 2 nights in my bed, you know, or we went and caught the opening night of the Rolling Stones tour in St. Louis. Stuff like that was cool being done early. It was all weird, but it was normal. The norm, going out on stage and seeing all those people and giving 110%, that was normal, completely normal. It was us doing what we do. But a lot of the other things that went on, obviously, because of COVID, made it different, you know. And that's the only tour and shows we've done since COVID in the last over 2 years now, because we shut it down in October of 2019. We did the tour with Dropkick Murphys and Clutch, and we were done. The record had been out for so long. Now, had we known COVID was coming in 5 months later, we would have milked every damn bit of we could of the road we could, but we didn't know. So we kind of been away from the stage longer than everybody else until we went out and did that thing. And as you know, we're not going out again until May. I would be surprised if anything happens shows wise until then. So from October 2019 to May 2022, one tour for us.
Yeah, man.
That's not a lot. I mean,
it's not a
and
lot.
that break and the break that we had before the Megadeth tour, that was the longest time I've been away from the stage, going back to me starting to play out in bands in the late 80s.
And you guys are absolute road dogs, Hatebreed, and you, yeah, I mean, since the late 80s, Jesus, such a break. And, you know, you're definitely not alone there in the industry. Next week, I'm going to be talking a little bit about that same tour with Dave Ellefson. That's going to be pretty fucking cool to connect with Dave. And the metal tour of the year. Next year, it's going to be without Hatebreed, so it'll have Megadeth, Lamb of God, Trivium, and In Flames, Sweden's In Flames instead. But I contacted a previous guest of mine and a buddy of mine, I'd like to say, D. Randall Blythe of Lamb of God, and he had a question for you, man. And he says, has anyone burned any money yet at a party in your Florida home?
Not at my Florida home, but when I was living in Cleveland, I would have these Super Bowl parties that were just epic. People would come from all over the country. The guys would come down from Connecticut. Randy came in from Virginia. I had friends come in from California. Jamey, back when he was drinking, which is over 15 years now, probably, came. I'm talking like smoke machines, gongs, pinatas, the biggest pizza in Ohio, kegs. I mean, these things were out of control. Like, we played the stereo so loud one year that the smoke started coming out of the speakers, and I just took them off the. I lived on the upstairs, and I took them off the porch and threw them into the street, and cars were running over them and stuff. These are insane parties. Anyways, Randy came into town, and this was back when he was drinking heavy, and we were partying, and he was lighting money on fire in my house, and then he dropped it because it was hot, and then it started my carpet on fire. And this is all before we even had the Super Bowl party, like days before. So that's what he was referring to. And he and I used to get into all kinds of crap when he was drinking. And but since then, him and Jamey have gotten straight, and I commend them on that. I always, as somebody that drinks still and likes to have fun on tour, and I always applaud somebody that quits drinking, because I let them know that they're not missing anything. You know what I mean? The older we get and the more we continue to do this to our body, and it's just not as fun as it was when we were in our 20s and 30s. So, I don't really do it much when I'm home. I have my drinking team at Epcot that we do and go drinking around the world. But that's really it. Sundays or Saturdays, college football, and that's it. I mean, but I'll do it on tour, you know what I mean? But even that, I mean, it makes it rough getting up every day and trying to play and give 100% on stage. So whenever I see somebody that I know, which is usually somebody in the music industry, or somebody's touring, somebody's older now, they've given that stuff up because they've realized that it's not worth it. I don't try to bring them back down into my drunken pit of misery. I try to uplift them and tell them that, you should do that. That's better. I should do that, but I don't. So, but Randy used to get after it for sure, and we had some crazy times hanging out, and Ozzfests that we were on together, and Mayhem Fests, and even Sounds of the Underground. When I was in Terror, we toured with Lamb of God, and there's been a lot of crazy times, and one of those was him lighting my house on fire. And that's what he was referring to. And no, thank God nobody's done that in my Florida home yet, and hopefully they don't either. So.
Well, that is hilarious, man, and fucked up at the same time. But you talk about Ozzfest with Randy. Do you have anything that jumps out at you of his craziness back when, early 2000s, mid 2000s?
The typical thing with Ozzfest is the heavier bands, especially back then, were playing in the parking lot. And that means that we're on from any time between 10 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. And that means that we're done. We're all done at 3 in the afternoon. And our buses are all parked out there. And we're not mingling with the big bands at the main stage. That's like 2 miles away in our mind. So it's like heavy metal shop summer camp out there in the parking lot. And you give people hours and hours and hours of nothing to do and a bunch of free Jägermeister and things like that, then there's going to be stuff going on. There's going to be barbecues and people driving golf carts drunk all over the place. It's just that kind of stuff. All fun, though. You know what I mean? All fun. So that's what Ozzfests were. They were heavy metal summer camp. And it's funny because if you look at the industry now and the summer tours and stuff, those have kind of gone away. The Mayhem Fest, the Ozzfest, the Warped Tour, now they're even gone. And they've all been replaced now by the European model, which we talk about with hurricanes down here. That's funny. The European model of the weekend festival, the 3-day weekend festival, the camping, the Welcome to Rockville, the Chicago open airs, you name it. There's now in almost every state, there's a, the one they have out in California. I forget the name of it. That's huge.
Coachella.
Coachella, right? And then you have cruises too. Even now, yeah, there's these different things. So, I kind of wish that the diversity would show up. I think Welcome to Rockville's got like Agnostic Front. I think Sick of It All Us on in May, which is cool
Yeah, it's
because
gonna
I
be fun.
noticed that, yeah, these open air festivals in the States seem to be more of the radio metal and the radio rock friendly, and they don't get all the mixed crowds. As where in Europe, we're playing a show with Deep Purple, Turbo Negro, Wu-Tang Clan, Napalm Death, all on the same show. You know what I mean? So I hope that it starts to become more diverse. If this is what's going to happen now, and it's going to be the weekend festivals and not the 2 month long summer touring things like Ozzfest and all that, then let's get them to be a little more diverse.
Yeah, I agree. And that's one of my big goals with I Ask No on podcast is to eventually become a promoter and bring some of these bands to a show. Western New York, highlight Western New York. You know how good the food is. And it's the
Sure.
city of good neighbors with Buffalo and the beer too. I know with Hatebreed, you partnered up with Witchdoctor Brewing out of Southington, Connecticut. Can't say I've ever been there before, but Hatebreed had a Perseverance Pale Ale. Haven't had that yet. And then to name after the 2004 Grammy nomination, you have Live for This Lager, which was an NA. And I know Randy was sipping back on some of those maybe this past tour.
Yeah. Yep. I think the Live for This Lager was the first one that wasn't it's actually alcohol. Then you have the Perseverance Pale Ale, and then there was the third one. It's not uncommon now for bands to dabble into hot sauce. Certainly, I have my own brand, and Jamey even has his own pasta now, as many people know. It's not uncommon for bands to dabble with coffee and hot sauce and beer. Why not? You know what I mean? Why not put a product out there or something? You know what I mean? If people love a band enough, I mean, look at Kiss. I mean, it's the most merchandise band in history. If people love a band enough, why not put a product out there for people to enjoy? And we're real happy with our venture into the beer world, and everybody at Witchdoctor and Southington, and I got to shout out Halftime Beverage too, who helps distribute it, and Matt and Chris and Jamey and everybody worked super hard to make that happen. But why not? Why not? You know what I mean? There's Iron Maiden beer. There's Lamb of God as non-alcoholic beer, I think too. And Kiss, I just saw, has their own whiskey. And somebody like Gene Simmons, he's never been drunk in his life. He doesn't even drink. You know what I mean? But that doesn't matter. What does it matter? You know what I mean? So it's about putting out a product out there. And when you go to the grocery store, it's not just strip steak. You know, you can. Did I lose you there for a second?
Nope, I gotcha.
Okay. Here we go. I think I got it. There you go. Sorry about that. Not sure what happened. But it's not uncommon for bands to do that. And I my buddy Tony from Municipal Waste, Ghoul, the company that does my hot sauce, Hella Hot Sauce, he specializes in bands, and he's got a Zetro from Exodus, his hot sauce, come out next. And I just think it's cool stuff. You know what I mean? Well, the analogy I was trying to make there before I lost you was, when you go to the grocery store and you want steak for dinner, it's not just strip steak. You know, if you want to splurge, get filet mignon, you can. There's other options out there. It's like meet and greet packages when bands go on tour. You know, it's an experience you're paying for. You go to the concert, or you want to spend a little more money and meet the band to have some special, VIP thing, or and get signed stuff or whatever it is. So I think it's cool to have options like that. And it goes back to I'm sitting in a room loaded with Kiss, thousands of dollars worth of Kiss merchandise that I've spent money on. It's why not have something different than just, if you love a band enough that you're willing to go check out their products, then I think it's cool. I don't see any harm in it. Some people frown down upon it, but hey, then don't buy it. You know what I mean? You don't have to. Nobody's forcing you to. We just want to put something out there, and especially during the pandemic with people out of work, I think people were scrambling to make money, and find other ways to generate that income that they were losing from not being on the road. And it goes way beyond music. Obviously, the pandemic has affected everybody financially and put people out of work. So I think when you see all these other things that were popping up, whether it was a band playing a live stream concert or a band making a beer,
Yeah.
Just coming up and being creative, presenting product.
Yeah, very true. A lot of bands and previous members on IANO, they got their Patreon page. They're starting a hot sauce like Bumblefoot did, the guitarist. You did. I haven't tried your hot sauce yet, but I'm going to. I'm going to include a link below where you could find that stuff. And
Appreciate
yeah,
it.
yeah, man, you got to get creative, and such as you sending out guitar picks to me for Christmas. And I got them. I got them right over here. Just hold on for a sec. Let's see. There you go. All right, Frank. So my name's Kevin, and when she yells this name, sometimes when people see me, Kevin. But you got the Hatebreed Home Alone kind of mishmash, which is hilarious. And I gave some of these to my friends, Home Alone, and you got what's his name, the cat from Hocus Pocus, and
Thanks, yeah.
It's really awesome. So you creating your own picks? You like Home Alone? I take it.
I'm just a huge fan of Christmas. I'm a huge fan of nostalgia. I love Christmas. It's my favorite time of year. I didn't like 2 days ago when we took down 4 Christmas trees and the outside shit. It's overloaded here. But there's nothing for me. The holidays it's a time for giving. It's a time for traditions. It's a time to be together with people you love, your family especially. And if you're able to do that, and I understand why some people might not like it because of personal reasons and stuff, but I love it. And my grandmother, who was to me the greatest woman who ever lived, I spent so much time with her when I was young. They always did the holidays big. So I'm just trying to carry that on. But I make the theme guitar picks. So the first year I think I did the claymation, like the old Burl Ives Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And then I think the next year I did a Christmas Story. The year after that, I did a Christmas Vacation. And this past year I did Home Alone. Halloween, I did the Nightmare Before Christmas, which are cool because those can also be used at Christmas time. And I did Hocus Pocus the year before, as you just saw in the pictures. But I'm a huge Christmas person. To me, there's nothing better than making the house smell good, whether it's with candles or some awesome food you're cooking, and just the Christmas lights in the house on, nothing else, and the TV with the Christmas movie on. Even though it's Florida and the weather is warm down here, we still get into the spirit. My wife and I go to Disney a lot, and they do it up real big over there. So I enjoy it. I enjoy the movies. I love Home Alone. I think it's a great movie. I like the Home Alone 2 just as much like 1, I would have to say, but my wife really loves Home Alone. Miracle on 34th Street though, it's got to be my favorite one. I like the old ones. It's a Wonderful Life, but and White Christmas. But yeah, man, I know we've been trying to make this interview happen for a while, and I wanted to get those picks out to you, and I'm glad it all came together. I'm glad you enjoyed them, and people seem to be loving them. I did something different this year and sent out Christmas cards through the web store with a guitar pick. So there you go. Trying to get creative and make a product. There's something that people can enjoy. There's tons of guitar pick collectors out there, and I'm one of them. I have thousands. I'm lucky though, because I'm on stage all day with all these bands and festivals and stuff. It's easy for me to get them. A lot of people are just in the crowd hoping to catch one and stuff, but there's huge pick groups and trading, and I've had a lot of fun with it. I really have. And as somebody who collects picks, it's been fun designing them. Shout out to my friend Matt Staz, who designs all my picks, makes all my visions come to life. And I'm always making new guitar pick sets. This year I have my own set of personalized guitar strings coming out through SIT. I'm going to be having my own guitar straps come out this year. Just a bunch of cool other stuff. I have another idea for a second hot sauce. So aside from hopefully Hatebreed getting back on the road and getting back to normal, I'll be doing some things as well.
Yeah, getting creative. And dude, I totally agree with you. The Christmas spirit, the lights and the vibe. And here in Buffalo, where you spent some time before, snowing and all that, and skiing. But yeah, with these meet and greet packages, I wanted to touch on this real quick. Concrete Confessional had a really good time with you guys, and former guest Austin Diamond, he was on here from Devil Driver, the drummer. And that show at Echo Park, real quick, man, I just kind of walked right up there, and whoever worked there thought I was part of the band. So I walked right in, and I'm chilling, and you're doing your meet and greet with the band, with the fans. And you guys handled the fans so well. It was just a conversation, just like what we're doing now. And it's really awesome. But I ended up giving one of the Roadrunner reps, I'm looking at this for the first time in years. I asked him to bring this onto the bus and have you guys sign this record. And
That's pretty.
yeah, it is really, really nice.
Cool for sure. Yeah, that looks awesome.
Yeah, I asked Jamey to do the hell yeah, Kevin. But this came after I had a conversation with you with your Gators hat on, and it was just, it was really awesome. Nice little break in the action from working there in LA for the few years that I did. But going back, I first discovered you guys on Headbangers Ball with Jose Mangin at like 2 a.m. in 2009 or something like that. But it was the self-titled record that came out. And that was one of your first few records that you were on with Hatebreed. And do you have any memories from that particular record? Because, dude, love that record.
I have a riff on that record in the instrumental, which was, special to me. Undiminished, I think it's called. But we were trying some different things on that record. A lot of people thought because Sean exited the band and that we try to do some different things on that record, venture outside our bubble a little bit and still be Hatebreed at the same time. That it was him that had something to do with, but Jamey and Chris have always wrote the song since day one. So it wasn't that. People thought Wayne coming into the band is why the sound changed a little bit, At that point, Wayne was playing Jackson guitars and before he joined up with Gibson. So that was a first for Hatebreed. We had different tunings. That was the first time we went from the standard C tuning to using standard B tuning. And that's the only record, to my knowledge, I think that we did a standard B tuning because everything else went back to standard C. Jamey hit a couple notes, a couple little notes on there, and with his voice, and we ventured outside the bubble. It was kind of just a different thing for Hatebreed. It's here we are, the fourth studio album or fifth studio album in, and it's self-titled. You know what I mean? So it has that record, I think, has a different vibe. Now, if you play this for a normal fucking person, they're gonna listen to the whole Hatebreed catalog and be like, "Yep, I just listened to the same song for 9 records or whatever the hell it is." But anyone who follows the band or heavy music can tell that record is a little bit different than the ones that came out prior to it, or maybe the ones that came out prior after to it. So it's just a chapter in Hatebreed, and it's, when you look at the whole puzzle, that's a piece of it. That was Wayne joining the band again since the beginning. He was the original guitar player, and Sean leaving, and it's been that lineup since then. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the recording to me runs together because it's tedious and it's hours and it's the same thing over and over again. But from what I remember of that was, we were doing some different things then, trying some different stuff, and we managed to get some pretty big songs from the set out of that record. And Ash to Say She'll Reap and Everyone Bleeds Now. Those are staples in the set pretty much. So, and some of those other songs we were playing live for a while. I remember Merciless Tide and the opening song, Become the Fuse, and Hands of a Dying Man too was another one that we were playing live.
Yeah, somewhere between Hell and Heartbeat. The list goes on, man, yeah. Including your breakdowns in the band, dude, they're just so, you talk about brutality and positivity. You get a lot of these really heavy bands that have those breakdowns, but you just feel that in your heart, in your chest, in your mind lyrically when those breakdowns come in. And Escape, you covered Metallica's Escape. And you called it the Die Hard remix. Whose call was that to include Metallica's Escape on that record?
Well, I think when you do a cover song, a covers record, you want to pay tribute to the bands that influenced you, no matter how big they are. And I mean, in our kind of music, what's bigger than Slayer and Metallica, really? You know what I mean? But what are we going to go do? Master of Puppets? You know what I mean? Enter Sandman or something like that. You know what I mean? To me, after the third Metallica record, I kind of lost interest. But you go deep tracks. If you're gonna do Metallica, you go deep track, and that's why Die Hard Remix. I would imagine that's where Jamey came up with that, because look, we all know these songs from hearing them over and over and over again. Four Horsemen and Fade to Black, and you know what I mean, like in Creeping Death. How many times have we heard, you know, Search and Destroy and all this? Why not go to some song that you don't hear a lot of and knock it out of the park, really? And Slayer Goes to War. So, and then you start getting into the lesser known bands by Hatebreed fans. We want our fans to go dig and find out about Judge. We want our fans to go dig and find out about DRI. We want our fans to go dig and find out about
Agnostic
Front and Marauder, and what was the other one that we did? Ludabellas. I can't think of the name of it offhand, but
Bad Brains.
Yeah. I mean, and if a lot of our fans, hardcore audience, they know these bands obviously, but some of our more metal fans, they might not know about these bands. So we want to expose them to that and go back and be like, this is the music that influenced us. Whether if it's a small New York band, hardcore band from the basements of New York, or it's a band like Metallica to play stadiums. And we'll be in the front lounge ever since that Ford Alliance came out well over a decade ago, I think it is now, right? We'll be in the front lounge or the dressing room listening to music that we love. We'll be like, we got to do this, man, on Ford Alliance too. I mean, if I got a nickel every time we've said we got to do this on Ford Alliance too, I'd be rich, because we're always listening and thinking about the bands that we didn't do: Motorhead, Discharge, Venom. I mean, the list goes on. Exodus. You could just Kiss, even. I mean, we could probably even try and do one of their heavier songs or something like that. It's really endless. And look, I would love to do a Ford Alliance Part 2. Why not? I think Napalm Death did a couple volumes of their covers records as well. So why not? Napalm Death, there's another band we could cover that's influenced Hatebreed greatly. Bolt Thrower.
Yeah. Napalm Death released that video Contagion recently. It's kind of a funny video, just seeing Barney's face like up at the screen like that. But
yeah, there's a little different. Like the new Napalm was a little bit different than what I was expecting, but I loved it. I love those guys.
Yeah. With Metallica, have you ever met the guys, James and Lars?
Yeah, for sure. We did their festival they did in Germany. We had a few shows with them, and they're great. They come in the dressing room and hang out. Lars is the best. Lars takes a lot of crap from people, and I don't understand why, because he's the one that will hang the most. And he's from what I've heard, maybe not anymore, but he was the one that you'd be in trouble with, because he'd have you out all night partying, and then you'd come home when sun was coming up and have to play the next day, and he's all normal, like it was nothing, and way older than us. So, but those guys, man, look at their covers record. Blue Oyster Cult, Merciful Fate, Bob Seger. I mean, these are bands that are like my favorite bands of all time. These guys love great music, and they get it, and they came up on like classic rock and UK 82 bands and all these awesome stuff. These dudes get it. I mean, I look at them and I'm like, yeah, I might not love their last however many records, but I love them. I love seeing them up there playing, and I get it, because they're into the same crap that I'm into. You know what I mean? So it's all relative, all this stuff. It really is. And I got nothing but good things to say about them. I mean, they went and took a bunch of our friends' bands on tour. What did they tour with? Down, Lamb of God, and all that. So super cool. And yeah, we were very gracious and thankful to be on the show with them, and hopefully that's not the last time.
Yeah, they just celebrated their 40th anniversary, and they covered Bread Fan just after Fixer. And just shout out to the people in the Budgie camp. They just lost their founding member, the singer.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's sad.
Yeah, Yeah, Lars had a nice tribute to him. And I mean, before we move on here, is there anything that jumps out to you about Lars and your times together? Or was there a late night or something that he told you? Or do you have a
Not with me. I've heard, not with me. I got the stories from Lamb of God when they were touring together and stuff,
Yeah.
but just, you know, he was around more than the rest of them. And, you know, a lot of those guys were out and about. And I think that Kirk has his festival he does up in NorCal, maybe. And I think he had Agnostic Front as guests up there. I mean, that's how cool is that? You know what I mean? These guys are paying it forward and hanging out, and they don't have to do that. They're Metallica. They don't have to be anywhere but on stage. But here they are. I'm watching LoVullo at one of these festivals, Grows Rock, I think it was, and there's James on stage watching and rocking out. You know what I mean? Like, no security, just him up there by himself, no bodyguard, none of that. So that speaks volumes for sure.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. One word to describe Jamey Jasta, what would it be?
Oh, that's easy. Workaholic. I mean, that's what he does. He's working nonstop. I'm lucky to have time with him to hang out because he's always working. Even when we're on tour, he's in the front lounge with the laptop open, and the leg goes all day. The leg goes all day, shaking that knee all damn day, planning world domination, whether it's with Hatebreed or some other band that he's in cahoots with, or his podcast. God, he crank out. How many podcasts does that guy crank out? It's insane. So he's, you know, he's a workaholic for sure, or hustler. You know, he came up hustling. The hardcore scene, we all came up hustling, man, because there was no money in the beginning, and you find ways to make money. And any of these New York bands will tell you that. But yeah, he just works nonstop. I mean, I know he's super busy with he did the D. Schneider record, and now he's been super busy with the Corpse Grinder record. And in the meantime, he's still doing the podcast and still being a father and being a husband or whatever. So, and the dog dad, he's got an insane amount of chihuahuas over there. I know he's got stuff going on. This is real life stuff. So he's nonstop busy, that guy. And that's good. You know, he got sober. I mean, when we were partying back in the day, we did ignorant shit. Every night we're out there acting fools. And then I was thinking to myself, I'm like, how does this guy got all this stuff going on? He's flying back to New York every two times a week from tour to film Headbangers Ball, and then coming back and doing shows, and then partying and running the record label and having a clothing line and putting out all these bands and stuff. It's better that he stopped. You know what I mean? He had too much stuff going on. It's hard to juggle all that stuff. And then if your head's in the clouds, you know, it just doesn't work. So he's another perfect example of, yeah, I miss partying with that dude, but it's way better that he doesn't drink. You know, I commend him for not doing that. So, you know, with everything he has going on, it's just better off that way. He's another perfect example where I was speaking about earlier when I said I get happy or excited when somebody wants to cut that chapter out of their life. So, with all the stuff he has going on, I couldn't imagine like the insanity of, you know, taking every Dixie cup on the bus and loading it with Jägermeister, and you can't even see the table. And it's like, all right, let's get to work, you know, and then playing the show like that, blacked out, throwing his shoes into the crowd and money and stuff. Like, I mean, it was just crazy stuff back in the day that went on. So, he works nonstop, and that's good for him because he's always got to have something going.
Yeah, it's really inspiring. The way he just got his hands in so much. Rob Zombie seems to be like that with the movies and The Rock. But today's quote, I didn't even get to the quote of the day, but today's quote's a line from Looking Down the Barrel of Today. And that lyric went, no sleep. Actually, the song finishes, no sleep, no rest, do anything that takes to be the best. And I love how he looks up there and his eyes, his pupils dilate, and he's just right there. And love the Concrete Confessional record. Love the positivity and the brutality of what you guys do. And on stage, if you could just maybe describe Jamey, you know, what that feeling when he's really getting into it. You guys draw a lot of energy from each other, but in particular, Jamey, how is it performing with that guy for all these years up on stage?
Well, let me say first and foremost, you're out there to put on a show. You're out there to entertain people. And I don't care. People could talk about, oh, but it's hardcore from the basements of America. Sure. But you're still entertaining people. You're still bringing people in and helping them forget about their problems and whatever's going on outside that door, whether it's in a VFW or it's in a football field. Do you know what I mean? So you're out there to entertain. And Jamey's obviously great at engaging and commanding the crowd. So, you know, we feed off the energy of the crowd. And if there isn't energy there, you have to conjure that energy. So, you know, especially in a tour like the Metal of the Year tour, where it's a Hatebreed show. But guess what? There's seats bolted to the ground all the way to the front of the stage. And you know that there's not going to be a mosh pit. And you know that it's 6 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun's still up, and people are in traffic trying to get into this place. And you know that half the people there have never heard or seen your band before. That's the moment that I live for, much rather than going out and playing to Converted, because I know that halfway through that set, those people are going to be rocking out, and we're going to convert most of them. And who better to have with the mic in their hand than Jamey for a situation, a situation like that, where a band like Hatebreed comes from the hardcore scene and it's known for the positivity. You don't get that a lot in the metal scene. You know what I mean? You get people singing about Vikings and Satan and stuff. So to make people feel like they're a part of something where they might not have felt that before, or to make them put them on a personal level with you, where they forget about the barricade and they forget about the seats, and they feel like they're almost on stage with you. I mean, that's what Hatebreed is. You know what I mean? It's that, and it's combining of all the genres. You know what I mean? It's a universal band. We've toured with Dropkick Murphys. We toured with Napalm Death. We toured with Disturbed. We toured with Slipknot. We toured with Clutch. We toured on Warped Tour. We've toured on Ozzfest. You know what I'm saying here? It's about all of it being extreme music and breaking down the barriers that divide, and there's no need to have a subgenre of something when this music, especially in this day and age when pop music rules the airwaves, it's a subgenre in itself. And Jamey preaches that more than anything, in everything we do. He doesn't hate on anything. If I don't like something, I'll tell you, Jamey doesn't hate on anything because he has an open mind, and he, you know what I mean? He has love for all their stuff. So, you know, going back to your question, it's like when we're talking about all this stuff, who better to have on stage up there with the microphone, talking to the people in between the songs, commanding the crowd. I've been watching him do this long before I was in the band, obviously. When he was a when I met Jamey, he was a young kid, you know, and at that point, he was already booking shows and had a band before Hatebreed. And he's been that guy though ever since, and it just became stronger and more mature. And he is the mayor of Moshville and the president of the pit, like he says he is. I mean, he's an ambassador, like Jose, for this music. Do you know what I mean? He'll go to bat for it. And he'll also, back then, he'll have your band on Headbangers Ball. You know, he'll get your band played. He'll have his band, he'll feature your band on his podcast. He's that guy. I mean, look at the diverse group of guests that he's had on the podcast. So look at the tours Hatebreed's done, you know. It's all part of it. It really is.
Yeah, it is. And Manny mentioned so much there I could dive into, but one of the things that jump out to me is, Jose Mangan and Jamey Jasta and what they do with their brands and their podcasts. It's a really big inspiration just to, you know, wear your heart on your sleeve, and it's okay to be yourself. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions about metal is it's all fuck you and death and all this kind of stuff. A lot of positivity through your music. And I'm 33 going on 34 here soon. And I've been into this style of music since I was 15. And it's just, you know, you feel it right here. So just to, and I want to say thank you for the compositions and for Undiminished and for giving it to us, you know, on stage. And we'll look forward to see you in 2022. But America,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's strange. It's a strange time. And look, I make the joke. I'll admit it. This might bum some fans out because I know they're dying to see us. But I tell people, they're like, when I see old people on my street that I'm friends with, stuff, they just know I'm in a band. They have no idea about it. They probably think that I play at the dive bar down the street. They don't even, when I tell them I'm going to Europe, they're like, really? Oh, wow, that's crazy. And but when are you going back on tour? They always ask. I look at them and I go, look, man, I'm 50. I'm like Dorothy. There's no place like home. I said, when it's time to go, it's time to go. And I've just, like a lot of people I speak for right now in the music industry, a lot of my brothers and sisters that are in bands out there, I'm sure that you're in the same boat I am. It's a very I'll believe it when I see it thing, because everything that's going on with this dumb pandemic, I can't sit here and tell you that the tour in May is going to happen with Parkway Drive, because I thought that the last time it was going to happen, and that was rescheduled from another time that was going to happen. You know what I mean? And go on your social media right now and scroll through all the stuff you follow. There's no shortage of tours that are being canceled right now. So I just am like, I when we finally get out there and see everybody, I can't wait. And I'm sure you can't wait. But I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'm not getting my hopes up, because it could all come crashing down. There could be some other dumb new variant after this one, and this is canceled. I mean, didn't they just shut Canada down again? And they're on lockdown again. I mean, you watch the Toronto Raptors games on TV. There's not one person in the stands. They're not allowed to go to the shows. They're on lockdown. Now, what if we had to go play in Toronto or Montreal tomorrow? We couldn't play the show. So there you go.
yeah.
It's very crazy to me. Hopefully, and I've said this before, by the time that next tour is supposed to go out, in this case it's May, everything's normal. We can go. Hopefully we can go to Europe this summer like we're supposed to, and play the festivals and whatnot. But I just don't know. I mean, people, when are you going back on tour? My answer is, well, I'm supposed to go back on tour now.
Yeah, and you could catch me at the bar just down the street. Just
and you're lucky. Because some places you can't go to the bar down the street.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man. Yeah, for every new subscriber, I make a donation of $10 to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, of which I am on the board, and my late great buddy Mike Holden is a big inspiration for the podcast here. But the past few years been really tough for a lot of people. And have you, just beyond the current COVID era and before, have you ever been affected by suicide and mental health of your friends in this business and outside of the business?
I mean, I think that the older you get, the more you and the bigger your circle gets, especially us. We know a lot of people, obviously, through our travels. Somebody that this has been the situation with. I mean, the guitar player that was in the band prior to me, Boulder, we dealt with that with him. And it's unfortunate, because there's always different circumstances involving that person. And but the outcome is always, I wish there was something I could have done. I wish there was something I could have seen. I think this, and a lot of times people are angry because they consider it selfish. But I think more than anything, it doesn't take much effort to be a friend to somebody. But I think that we all get wrapped up in our own lives. And I think that people get wrapped up in social media now. They spend a lot more time wrapped up and scrolling through and getting involved with all that stuff than they do to slow down and live now. It's a lot different now than it was. It doesn't take a lot of effort to be somebody's friend. And by being somebody's friend, that means that you're, saying what's up to them every few days, or checking in on them, or hanging out with them. I think that could prevent a lot, it really could. Because sometimes once somebody's gone, then you reflect on the time that you didn't spend with that person, the time that you weren't there, or the time that maybe you didn't see a red flag. And that's really my take on it more than anything.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. Depression is no face, and Chester Bennington taught us that, and Chris Cornell. You can seemingly have everything, and you have your friends and your network and your family, but it's good to get it out. And you mentioned how little effort it requires to be someone's friend, which includes a smile to a stranger, walking by. You don't know what that smile will do for that person. And you mentioned Disturbed, Dan Dunnigan. I mean, right after Chester died, that was, Chris and then Chester a few months later. Dan was really more animated than I thought he usually is on social media. And he mentioned you don't know what a smile does to that person. And, I'm a runner. I jog up and down here in the snow. And yeah, I enjoy, it's the city of good neighbors, man. You spent some time in Buffalo, so it's good to share, because then it makes you feel better. So no shame there talking about it. And there's no stigma here on this podcast or anywhere. So thanks, man.
Yeah. Well said. Well said.
Yeah. But we got the NFL playoffs starting this weekend, dude. Unfortunately, the Broncos, are they not in it? Is that a bad question?
No, they're not in it. Mm-mm.
No.
The Gators stuff this year was pretty rough.
Oh,
My pocketbook took a beating betting on Alabama Monday night. It's been all bad, man. But I tell you what, with the playoffs coming up, I try to explain to people that they don't understand. Like, I have family back home that live in Cleveland. They love the Browns, but they only know the Browns. They only know the Browns. They only watch the Browns. They don't have any idea about any of these other teams. And it's a one-track mind. They love the Browns and fuck Pittsburgh. And it's like, okay, that's all you know about the shit. You know what I mean? And they don't understand how. I try to explain it to people. If you love sports like I do, you're a sports junkie, and you're talking about baseball and basketball and NFL, team sports, you have your team you love, okay? You have your team you love. That's your team. But you also have other teams that you like, that you don't mind.
You respect.
And then you've got your teams that you fucking hate. And then you've got the other half of the league that you just don't give a shit about. So that being said, I like the Steelers. I like the Cowboys. I like the Bengals. I hate the fucking Chiefs. I hate the Raiders for the obvious. They're in our division. They're our foes. Do you know what I mean? I like the Bills. I don't mind Green Bay. I can't stand Brady. So fuck the Bucks. The hell with the Patriots. Get them out of there too. There's some teams that I just don't give a shit about. The Niners, the Eagles, a bunch of NFC teams I just don't care about. So I have my teams I'll be rooting for this weekend, teams I want to win. We'll see what happens. Does anyone want to see Brady back in the Super Bowl? Probably not. Maybe the people in Tampa that jumped on the bandwagon the last 2 years, which is just disgusting to me, because you got a baseball team over there that's magnificent that gets no love, and they all want to blow Brady. But I think that watching, and I know I'm going to eat my words, because that's what Brady does. He makes you do that. But at watching the games this year and watching the Patriots, the Bucks, I find it very hard to believe that they would go into Lambeau and beat Rodgers and them. Okay, I just think that that's the team that's going to come out of the NFC. In the AFC, I don't know, because all these teams that I think are dominant, they've proved me wrong. When I thought Kansas City was a shit, they showed me they weren't. When I thought New England took the division over from Buffalo and Buffalo went on a skid, they went on a skid, and now Buffalo's back playing good again. I don't know. Joe Burrow's nasty. Cincinnati is nasty, and they could get in there and they give somebody a hard time. I think that they're going to wipe the Raiders out this weekend, and I think the Chiefs are going to wipe out Pittsburgh, even though I don't want to see that. But I think that anybody can win it this year, but I would be very surprised if it's not Green Bay in the NFC. AFC is wide open for anybody to take. I'm sure that Mahomes and them are the favorites probably, but Tennessee's nasty. I don't give a shit about them, but they're going to have Henry back. They're nasty. So we'll see. I mean, one thing I love is I looked at the scheduling and I was like, yes, It's like a regular Sunday. Because, you know, in the playoffs, what they do is the wild card is on Saturday, 2 games, and then on Sunday. But I noticed this weekend, you've got 2 games on. There's way more games this weekend than there normally is. You got 2 games on Saturday, and then Sunday, they've made it like a regular Sunday. You got a 1 o'clock game, a 4 o'clock game, and then you got a late game. And then you've got a Monday Night Football playoff game, which to me is magnificent and genius. I love the scheduling this weekend. I'm getting excited. The college is done, so I won't. That's that. I don't have to try to watch that. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to watching the games. It sucks that our team's not in it, you know, because we just won the Super Bowl not that long ago with Peyton Manning, Super Bowl 50, and since then we've had what 5-6 seasons of below 500. I'm glad the coach got fired. I'm glad the offensive coordinator's gone. Hopefully we get a different quarterback. Probably. I don't think Drew or Bridgewater are the answer there. You know, people are questioning Elway now and his decision making in the front office there. It's a mess, but they have some good players on the team this year for sure. But obviously you're rooting for the Bills, I would imagine. No,
Go Bills, baby. Yeah, let's go Buffalo.
Allentown.
Dude,
Josh Allentown.
Oh, Josh, dude, Josh Allen, number 17. I just got my Salute the Troops Josh Allen jersey. It's my 3rd Josh Allen jersey. I'm like, you know, when I first bought his jersey, it was early on. I was like, wow, you know, I'm really proud to have this Bills jersey. And now I got 2 different colors for Josh Allen. We love him. We love him here as the whole country could tell. And dude, Tennessee, yeah, they're going to be scary with Derrick Henry coming back. Fuck the Chiefs. You know, they showed us, you know, who's boss in the AFC Championship. So I definitely want some redemption on that shit. Tom Brady has been bending us over for 2 decades. So when you say Brady in the Super Bowl, dude, I would love to take one away. Just watch his face as we beat them and take a Lombardi trophy away from Tom Brady. That's just that's me and my buddy Chris.
Or the Cowboys.
Or yeah, the Cowboys. Yeah, dude, the Cowboys.
They own Buffalo in the Super Bowl for years.
Hey, man. Yeah, you know, there was wide right with the Giants, then 4 straight in the Super Bowl. But a lot to look forward to this weekend, dude. And not sure if you know, but Tom Brady actually, he does swallow. And when he goes to take a piss, he sits down. He sits down when he takes a piss. So anyway.
Well, I've got friends who every team in the playoff that's represented, I've got plenty of friends that are fans of every one of those teams. But my buddy Scott that sings for Terror, who's from Buffalo, who I've known since the late 80s. I've known Scott Vogel since we were little kids, going to shows in Buffalo at the River Rock Cafe in the Sky Room, going to see Gorilla Biscuits and Slapshot and all these bands back then. We've had a long friendship, and I know he lives back in Buffalo now. He's a huge Bills fan. I'm pulling for them, for him, for you. I got a neighbor across the street that she's Bills Mafia. I don't know if she jumps through the tables and all that, but she's definitely a Bills fan. And you know, you guys got something to be happy about. I just hope you don't blow it like you guys did, because you guys were flying high, and then last year it all came crashing down. And then this year when you guys went in the shitter, I was like, oh no, what happened to Buffalo? They were the bee's knees. I thought they're going to run away with the division, and then you know.
Yeah, man. Well, we got the Patriots for a 3rd time, and it's the first time in the Super Bowl era that Patriots are playing us in the playoffs. So I'll be there Saturday night with a bunch of us. Maybe Bron Daler with Mastodon will be there too. Johnny Chow, Stone Sour. We got a high of 7 degrees. Wind chill's going to be below 0, and they're already warning us, you know, about frostbite. So we'll be there.
So Buffalo plays Saturday.
We play Saturday night. Yep.
In Buffalo.
In Buffalo, man.
You're not going to the game though.
Oh, I'll be there, man. I got tickets. My fiance and I were going to be lower level sidelines, man. We'll be
you're at the game. You're going to the game. That's badass. Good for you.
Yes. Yeah, I'll send you a picture of what it really looks like in that parking lot with the tables and the fires and the grills and all that kind of stuff. So
I went to when I first moved to the second time I moved back to Florida, this probably was around 2010, 2011. The girl I was with at the time, she'd never seen snow before. So we went back home. I went back home to Cleveland. I brought her with me, and we went to this Browns and Bills game. You can look it up. It was from like 2011, 2012. And you couldn't see the field. It was the Bills at the Browns. You couldn't see the field. You couldn't see the lines. You couldn't see nothing. You couldn't sit down on the chairs because the snow was piling up so high. You couldn't have a beer because the beer was just becoming snow. It was insane. It was, because Cleveland, like Buffalo, is right on the lake there, and it was just crazy. My father begged us not to go. My sister and I and my girl at the time went, and it was just nuts. People were just pounding each other with snowballs the whole game. Because you couldn't watch the game really. You had no idea what the hell was going on because of snow. You couldn't really see the game. I'm sure on camera, on TV, it was way better, but being in the stands, you just had no idea what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget that game. It was against the Bills, and it was probably about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
11 years ago.
Yeah, there's just something about it with the snow game or when it's so goddamn cold. Like I was there for the Monday night game when it was just windy, but gonna be a fun one this weekend. And dude, I just want to say thank you again for taking the time to shoot the shit.
Well, I'm sorry that I know we were trying to make this happen for a while. I'm just glad we were able to do it then. It was nice chatting with you today. Appreciate all the support, and good luck to you this weekend.
Yeah. Thanks, brother. Thanks. And catch Hatebreed. They're going to be with Parkway Drive, the Black Dahlia murder, Stick to Your Guns, hopefully in May and June, Rockville with Guns N' Roses and so on. But even Hellfest with Metallica and A Merciful Fate. We'll see what happens there this summer. So.
Oh my God. To me, it's the greatest festival in the world. There's nothing that tops Hellfest, and the way they're doing it now. What they normally do one weekend, I think they're doing 2 weekends this year or something ridiculous. Yeah. Wow, crazy. So I mean, every band you could think of is on it. I have friends from the States they've never been over there, and they're talking about going. So yeah, I mean, let's hope it all happens. We hope to see you guys out on the road, and obviously with the addition of the Black Dahlia murder onto that tour now, I think that's an insane lineup. Parkway Drive, Hatebreed, Black Dahlia, and Stick to Your Guns is completely insane. And those shows will be massive, and don't miss those. If it's coming to your town, travel. If we put tour dates up, what happens? Everyone bitches. We're not coming to your town. Sorry. We don't make the routing. The bands do not choose where the tour goes. That's how it works, people. Sorry. And you know what? If we're playing Columbus, drive from Cleveland. If we're playing Toronto, drive from Buffalo. You know what I mean? Because it's worth it. It's worth it, especially if you haven't seen concerts in a long time, to be able to see this lineup. Travel, it's worth it. I've traveled forever for shows. We would travel to shows every weekend back in the day. We would go see our favorite bands if they weren't coming to town, because we're not going to be around forever playing shows. And that's what I say. I went and saw the Rolling Stones twice in this last tour. I told you we went to opening night. Me and Wayne and Chris and my guitar tech went. We had a great time. Opening night in Seattle, St. Louis, where the Rams used to play. And then I was fortunate enough, they closed the tour at a very small venue in Florida. So I figured there was 60, 70,000 people at the St. Louis show because it's the stands in the field. They played a 7,000 capacity Hard Rock Live down in Fort Lauderdale.
No shit.
I don't want to tell you what I paid for tickets, but it's the most intimate show they've done in a decade. And why did I go? Because every time I go to see them, I go, it might be the last time. They're not going to play forever. And the point I'm trying to make is these bands aren't going to be around forever. And if getting in the car and going for 2 hours is all it takes to go see them, go do it. You won't regret it. You'll have a great time. And it's a memory you're creating with your family or friends that lasts forever. So.
Yeah, throw on some Judas Priest heading out to the highway, a long way to the top.
That's it.
Roll and just get there.
That's it. Create that memory with your friends, because obviously we can't come to every city. We will eventually, but is it going to be with Parkway and Black Dahlia and Stick to Your Guns all in one show? Probably not. So.
Well, Frank, I'd love to find you on this upcoming tour if it does happen, God willing. And do I bring you Mighty Taco or do I bring you Gabe's Gate? Because I know you had a girlfriend in Buffalo for a little bit there.
I spent a lot of time in the great city of Buffalo. I was at Thursday in the Square every week. We went to the concerts. I spent a lot of time over in Depew, over near the Eastern Hills Mall in that area over there. And in Allentown, Gabriel's Gate, you'd be hard pressed to find better wings. I know people love Duff's and stuff. And look, I know a lot of people hate on the Anchor Bar. They're the first, and one thing I'll tell you, you're not going to get bad wings in Buffalo anywhere you go. I mean, you could be drunk at Jim's Steakout at 1 a.m. and or whatever, but I enjoy that town. It just has a special place in my heart. I want to tell a funny story about Buffalo and the
Yeah.
snow there, because in Cleveland and Buffalo we get a lot of snow. People don't understand unless you've been in it. I was up in Buffalo on Christmas Eve with the girl I was seeing, and we went to church, Catholic service. I'll say that because if you know the Catholic service is way longer than most other services, so I'll give it that it was long. But it started snowing when we went into mass. When we came out, I'm not even kidding you, it was all the tires on the car were almost completely covered. And the next day when I woke up and her and I were going to be driving back to Cleveland, spend Christmas with my family, you couldn't see the roofs of the car. We had to dig the car out because you didn't even know where the car was. Where's the car? Oh, it's under all that snow. So it took forever to dig the car out, forever to get to the freeway. And I had drove from Cleveland to Buffalo in that weather, or Buffalo to Cleveland in that weather, which is normally a 3-hour drive. It took about 5.5 hours, but about 3-4 hours into the trip, I had that heat blasting on me and it was snowing and I just dozed off and I put the car in a ditch. And luckily some nice man on Christmas Day was kind enough to pull us out of the ditch. And it's just so insane with all that snow. I mean, I know some places get snow. This is next level shit. When I tell you that there were cars outside when you went to bed, and then there wasn't cars when you woke up, and the snow was up to the windows in the house. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I got to somehow dig the car out and drive the car in this. I mean, that's just what these people deal with, as you know, every year. This is normal life.
Yep,
So
it is.
When people down here start bitching about it being hot, I was like, you know what? I did 36 Cleveland winters. I got nothing. And look, I still go into cold weather because the band. We tour Canada in wintertime sometimes. We've been in Winnipeg, -30 and stuff like that. So I still get my dose of cold, but there's nothing as crazy as that snow up there in the States along Lake Erie.
They would love it.
In Chicago, they get the freezing cold, but they don't get the snow like we would get in like Buffalo, Syracuse, Cleveland, Erie. Not even close.
Yeah. Well, like my twin brother and I like to say, just like the Gojira song off L'Enfant Sauvage, we were born in winter and we love it. Love the snow, and go Bills this weekend. And dude, all the best to you and Christina.
Hey, I appreciate it. Mighty Taco or Gabriel's Gate's good with me.
Okay, dude. Well, I feel like I'm going to bring you both. I'm going to find you. So keep fucking rocking, bro.
Hey, thanks for an interview, bud. I'll be in touch, okay? And hopefully I'll get to see you on the next tour, all right?
Fuck yeah, Frank. Peace out.
Take it easy.